because as long as you look nice, they're going to start to listen to what you're saying. If you look not great, like no matter what you're saying, no matter how interesting you are, people are going to be distracted.
Welcome to our finale with Andrea So. In our final video of our 3-part series, we talk about how to appear on camera, whether you're a KOL, CEO, or avid YouTuber. Andrea has tips and tricks for us all.
Hey, Andrea.
Hi, Darren.
It's 3 highs already in one day.
Yeah.
But this is the most exciting episode out of the 3 because that's something that I want to learn from you too, is how to be on stage and on camera, right? What is something that people keep forgetting when you're on camera on stage? What's the common mistakes?
Oh, there are so many. Common mistakes, not being themselves, I think is the biggest one. Because everyone always feels like on camera they have to be a certain someone, and they do, but it has to be a better version of themselves. It can't just be someone completely different. So if I come in and I decide to speak like this in a it's just uncomfortable. Like no one wants to see that. So I think one of the biggest mistakes is being someone you think you should be instead of being someone you're good at being. I think that's what's important because that shows confidence. A lot of little errors, I would say, are a lot of fidgeting. So a drama teacher once told me that on stage, a lot of actors have 2 main fidgety issues. One's with hands and one's with feet. So that's going to be translatable to on camera as well, because when you're nervous, you're going to have, little fidgeting here and there, and that's fine. But when you're presenting a lot of information in a professional manner, you're going to want to minimize that in order for your audience to feel like, oh, this is someone I can trust kind of deal. So yeah, I think common mistakes would be this kind of stuff, and then really not being, maybe it's just script work is another common mistake I see often. Yeah.
So fidgeting means that, like, I think, remember you told me before, is the hand back and forth and the body go back and forth like that.
Yeah. And you know what? We'll stand up in a second. I'll show you some examples of that. But that's really obvious because it also shows in your face and how you carry yourself. So even like, your posture and your body language is really important. For instance, you being the lead of this show, you sitting more, more back, having a more relaxed posture shows a bit more of confidence in how you present yourself. But since I'm the guest and I want to show that I'm engaged, I'm going to lean a little bit more forward in my chair. I'm going to look more at you when we're speaking. These are things that different body language is going to convey different stuff about your personality and your person. If you want to be really formal, then you've got to sit up really straight. You've got to enunciate really, really specifically, every enunciation, every syllable, every letter and every word. But that also comes off as a different type of personality. So, it really depends what you want.
I like how it tied from the first episode, building a character and what is the on-screen character. The second episode is about writing the script, pre-shooting and all that, and comes about now back to like the small little tips. And what I get from it is that just be aware about your surrounding and how you're presenting yourself, how you do that kind of stuff. I want to know, because there's one thing that always bothered me is my Chinese. And then I grew up here, but I spent a lot of time in Canada, like us. And I remember when you came to Hong Kong, you had a hard time reading Chinese and speaking Chinese. Now you're so good at it. What are some tips that you can give to me or the audience that when it comes to different language, how to be fluent and enunciate? How would you suggest them to do that?
So a little bit about myself, for those of you who don't know me. I was born and raised in Toronto, and I just came to Hong Kong recently for the past few years to act. So I didn't grow up learning Chinese. My parents spoke it, but I didn't know how to read or write. But my job now, I need it. I need to be able to read Chinese on the daily basis. And I need to be very fluent because I act in a long-running sitcom and my character is a very local girl who's really good at school. So she can't have like this weird foreigner's accent when she speaks Chinese. So that's something that I, was really, really adamant on when I got my character, when I got my role and I got my scripts. I really needed to make sure I didn't have an accent when I spoke Chinese, but I do, and I still do. But when I speak as her, it's very much minimalized and not very many people can hear it. And I honestly did all of this through self-learning and self-discovery because I would listen to different local people speak Chinese and then I would hear the differences in how I'm pronouncing certain words. So I would do what I suggested in a previous episode where I would record myself speaking. And I would listen very carefully. Why do I sound so different when I say that one word, but everyone else says it a different way? Or why do I not hear the difference between those sounds? So it's being super, super detailed with every pronunciation of words that you've noticed you pronounce wrong. And first you have to figure out what you pronounce wrong. So it's all self-discovery, self-learning, and self-reflection. If you do this on a daily basis and you really make that effort to learn that language and that culture, you're going to be able to present in that language much better and therefore connect to the people with that culture better.
So know thyself, really knowing where your limitation is.
Yes.
To be very meticulous when it comes to improving.
Yes,
and just really do the research. Like you talk as if like I'm a real estate guy. I'll think about really like go deep, find out the market, what's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
reading stats, everything.
If you transition to a local market and you wanted to speak more Chinese, you're going to need to know what the local people want. What are their needs? What are their struggles? What are they looking for with real estate? And once you understand that, you're going to get a better understanding of the language as well. The language that they're used and like the words that they're more commonly used and spoken. And then when you're able to use those words, there's a familiarity that people feel. That's how the relatableness and the approachableness kind of comes through.
What are so we talked about how the body language, the posture, back and forth, standing up or not, the fidgeting, and then understanding your audience, what they want to hear and relate to them, right? What other tips do you have for people on camera, on stage?
I think in your prep work, because there's so much that you've got to do before you get on screen. So you've got all of your tech stuff you've got to prep, so camera, lights, whether you find someone to do it or not, you've got to prep that. You've got your script, so what you want to say, who you are on camera, how you want to present it, all of that work. And then this is something that I think a lot of people are going to forget, is your appearance. Because you're making a video, that's the first thing that people are going to see is you and how you look. So something as simple as making sure your clothes are ironed. Making sure that you've, thought about what you're going to wear and how people are going to perceive you once they see this person presented in this way. Stuff like that is important, making those choices in that outfit. Why are you doing the t-shirt with the suit jacket? Why not something else? There's a reason for it. So once you know why you make these decisions and you make all of these decisions in advance, prepare properly, I think there's a very small margin for not success, for failure. It's very, very small. So things about your appearance you got to take care of. Maybe get a good night's rest before. Don't go out drinking, because when you drink a lot, you're going to get really swollen in the morning. And if you're Asian and your features are not as pronounced as other races, this is not going to help the situation. So, no matter how nice the lighting is, if you're really swollen and bloated on your face, it's going to come across on camera. And unfortunately, as humans, when we see something we like, we're going to watch more of it. When we see something we don't find attractive, we're not going to watch for as long. So I think as a on-camera person, one of the first things you've got to take care of is appearance. Because as long as you look nice, they're going to start to listen to what you're saying. If you look not great, like no matter what you're saying, no matter how interesting you are, people are going to be distracted. And I think that that's way more applicable with this type of video that your audience is probably looking to create than like fun content on YouTube kind of deal.
I like how before the shoot, you said that I'm a bit bloated and I have to like brush. You teach me how to do it? Like,
right, okay, so a lot of Chinese massage places have these like lymph node massages.
Like lamba.
Yeah, so lamba in Chinese, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of just water retention. And one of the things I've learned is just like there are two kind of massage areas right on the side of your necks, right on the sides of your neck. And if you just kind of go down, well, there should be like a little kind of tenon that kind of pops out. If you just kind of go down and just brush down, a lot of the water retention in your face is going to diminish.
Really?
Yeah. This is a trick I see a lot of artists do before camera. They're kind of just massaging their neck on the sides, and it kind of just helps everything drain from your face. If you want to like de-swell your eyes, if you've been crying the night before for
all
hours.
the time, every night.
I can tell you're a romantic guy, Darren. I'm so sorry that you're crying so much. But if you know you've got a Denzity video the next day and you got to look sharp and on camera and on point, and you feel that your eyes are kind of swollen, you can kind of lightly just
press on it?
Yeah, just little pressure points, kind of like this.
I do it every single night from now on.
You can do this, yeah, and at night. It's probably good in the morning after you've washed your face, after you've brushed your teeth, and you're just getting ready to go out. Just a few goes at it, and you'll see the difference. Like it's a lot quicker as well. So silly, small little stuff like that just might make your face more awake and everything looks better. And when you look better, you feel better, so you're gonna do better.
And I'm kind of curious because sometimes like I feel the guest is a bit tense, and sometimes I'm a bit tense sometimes because I really hectic schedule. Drinking on set or because of interview, obviously our style is that we want to feel as if you're talking the bar.
Just having a conversation with two friends.
You suggest having a drink?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
Just don't heavily overdo it the night before and not have enough sleep and then forget everything on the script.
Vodka in the bottle and everything.
Just like pull it out from behind.
So when you talk about on camera, because I learned a lot of tricks actually from the different people too. What are some tricks you can do or be aware of when talking in front of the camera?
Yes. Okay. So I think it depends if you're talking to someone else or if you're talking straight to camera. If you're talking to someone else, it's important for you to just look at that person. And when they're speaking, just listen. You don't have to think about what your face is doing. Where do I put my hands? Where do I put my legs? Because when you start to think about that, you're not really listening to the other person and it comes off on camera. It looks like you're not engaged in the situation. But when you're actually listening to the other person talk, you're naturally going to have these natural reactions that come out and that just portrays naturally on camera. So that's one thing I would suggest if you're talking to someone else. If you're speaking to camera specifically, this is something that's really important, is to look the camera dead in the eye. So I think, and I'm sure that you've come across some interview suggestions from people like, oh, going into an interview for a job, like these are skills that you should have, like a firm handshake. You gotta look that person in the eye to show them that you're here and you're confident. And that's really important as well. So when you're looking at camera, you can tell when you're looking straight at camera or if your like eyes are kind of out of focus and you're kind of thinking about the next thing you got to say and it doesn't come off as you're here, you're now. So that's something I think that a lot of people would benefit from, is to nail that camera right in the eye, and make sure they know that what you're saying matters. I'm saying everything with intention because I'm looking straight at you and you're gonna hear it. You're gonna feel this intensity. But if I look like this and I'm kind of just describing this thing that I'm trying to sell you on, you don't believe me, right? You don't believe me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I think that people need to be more aware of.
I remember like I used to have a dot because we started with Zoom. So we had to have a dot right above the camera because I was so hooked up. And I used the camera look at me and the bright light and everything. So I have to pretend to look at the guest, but I have to look at the camera up. I even know what he looks like. And then even for filming sometimes, I look at someone's like forehead.
Yeah.
And then actually one thing that people don't realize is that when you're on camera or interview or on stage, it's the energy. Right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's something that's hard. People don't understand. It's like a lot of energy push in. And then actually, what's your suggestion on that?
Stay in the zone, in the situation. You're here, you're now. Don't think about your meeting after or the lunch that you have to deal with later or your son's, soccer game or whatever. No, you're in this space right now. This is a conversation between Darren and Andrea. We've got some cameras here, sure, but this is what's happening, and they just happen to be here. So once you're in the zone, you're going to be captivated and engaged, and that's going to portray through camera for sure.
Yeah, and actually one mistake that I should have too on top of that is these small little mistakes. Like I remember when we were editing before the Zoom videos, a lot like nodding. And it's kind of interesting because when you're conversation, you never thought that kind of stuff. So I think come back to your really the first couple episodes, building a character, understanding if you are going to respond, nodding, sound, everything is important. And before we go, and I want to say again, thanks so much for your time because these are things that I feel a lot of real estate professionals are going online and these are things that they just never thought of and they just is foreign to them. So I want to go back to your story because you have done a lot in your history on drama to film and everything like that. So what you're up to now? Because I even as a friend, it seems like you're doing a lot of things all the time and everything.
I'm definitely diversifying because with current trends getting more and more online, as an actress on television, it's important for me to realize, okay, I've got to stay relevant to my audience, to my fan base, and I've got to really build up all of these different hats that I've got to put on because that's the reality of how everyone is now. You're not just one thing, you're also this and this and this. And that's just the upward trend. So stuff that I'm working on right now other than filming. So I am filming my regular sitcom every day.
I love it.
Thank you for watching.
No, it's so nice. It's very relaxed. Sorry about that. But I love your work.
Thank you. I'm really lucky and grateful that this is what I get to do. So other than filming drama though, I do some vlogging. So I have some lifestyle YouTube videos, and I've been doing some singing and dancing on the side because that's just something I always loved. But there's also been stuff that I've realized that I'm pretty passionate about, and I don't really have a lot of opportunity in my current work environment to explore. So for instance, this type of conversation I love. I love analyzing how to be better on camera and helping others strengthen those skills that I have more experience in. And therefore, through that, I'm gonna learn a lot about myself as well, because through this conversation in our interview, I've learned about stuff that I do on camera just from this 1 hour conversation. So I'm actually looking to maybe see if there's ways for me to share some tips and tricks with people that kind of need it. I've realized a lot of people who are trying to get online and trying to make online content and make more videos and stuff, they're not really sure how to get started, or they don't really know how to be on camera or how to speak and present themselves. They get anxious, they're like, blah, blah, and that's what happens. So if there's a way for me to be able to connect with these people and just share some tips and tricks maybe, and we can all kind of grow together maybe as a community, that'd be lovely, because I think that there are a lot of nuances with being on camera, and with more businesses getting online, these skills are quite useful, and a lot of people don't realize that they don't have these skills until they try to make these videos, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I think I'm working on helping out some friends, because some of my friends are starting YouTube videos and doing some on-camera work that they weren't trained in and wasn't necessarily their forte. But the nature of the world is that we're getting more online. So hopefully through working with different people, we can help people be more comfortable with being on camera and find their true on-camera self.
Yeah, I always forget, because a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of CEOs, right, executives, they have to go on stage, TED Talks, and even Jack Ma, for example, have a big team of PR, a big team of social media, they do coaches, marketing, coaches. Yeah. Have you thought of going towards there?
I've actually always been interested in it, because with my job, I've had the opportunity to be an MC for a lot of annual dinners. And every time I go to an annual dinner and I hear certain CEOs or people in the management level speak or make a speech on stage, I always cringe because a lot of the time the speeches are horrible. Not because they're a bad person, but either it's written poorly or they're delivering it poorly or they're really uncomfortable with speaking in front of people. And I always feel like, why isn't there someone helping these people get better at what they do? Because in front of 1,000, 2,000 people, what you would want the people to be listening to you when you speak. So I think that there are so many big companies in the world that definitely have these professionals helping them. There's no shame and there's no harm in thinking about that for yourself, because how else are you going to compete with others, right? Everyone else is coming out with this great quality, so maybe you should too.
Yeah, and I think sometimes like some people are fundraising. Some people are talking to a shareholder what's going on, crisis mode, good times, right? Partying, charities, doesn't matter, right? And then I think it's so competitive now. Like Steve Jobs, known for the keynote thing. And then a lot of people follow that style. People have trained to become that.
Yeah.
And that's the bar. And I feel like because content is getting harder and harder, and then being engaged and being this executive that you want to, to have the personality and power and everything, that's part of your job now. So I'm actually really glad, and there are so many different topics I can explore, and then I'm so happy that you help us out, because that's a content I really like and I feel a lot of people can benefit from it. And then I'll for sure let people know about your content information. You want to ask you more questions.
Thank you.
No,
yes.
it's great. And then
this was so fun. Like honestly, I could keep talking forever.
Oh,
but your video would just go on for days, and that would just be, like a lot.
Hey, if people will actually benefit from it, why not, right? So thanks for your time, and then let's hopefully round 2 very soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Darren.
Thanks for watching. What do you think of this episode? Please let us know in the comment below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with us for upcoming videos. But before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Patina Design Lab. They're the one who help us in making our brand, our direction, as well as these videos. They are a strategic design consultancy firm to help businesses with a wide range of design services, from industrial design, branding, graphic design, art direction, content creation, and many more. They are a very talented bunch, and I urge you to check out their website for their work. That's all for today, and see you next time. Cheers.